Hello and welcome to our Genshin Impact Attribute series. I am of course Ace. I go by Ace and I'm from the Dawn Winery Discord server, and I'm making this video to explain how damage works in this game. A little bit of background on myself. I am a accounting and finance graduate of 2020, and I decided to apply my math skills to this game because frankly speaking I'm very addicted to it and I'm having a lot of fun. And I was like thinking, how can I break this game essentially? So to do that I need to understand the maths behind it. So I spent some time researching and understanding how the mechanics of this game works in terms of maths, and after figuring it out and intensive testing, I decided to share this results with all of you. So today's video we're going to be covering just the damage formula in general. Everyone wants to know how to do a lot of damage, but the problem is people don't know how to do a lot of damage, and this video will answer that question. Let's move straight into the damage formula. So there are three main categories when it comes to damage. There's total attack, crit rate, crit damage, this is known as crit modifiers, and there's bonus damage. So now that's out of the way, let's move to total attack. So if for this experiment I will be using my Diluc, since I think he's the simplest, and frankly speaking I'm a filthy Diluc main because I'm all about that efficiency. So I've built him pretty well to the best of my abilities, and we're going to go through his stats and to better explain the damage formula. I have decided to just quickly get a calculator and Genshin Impact stats so that you can compare them side by side, and if you're watching and you feel like you want to give this a try, you can have a go with me. So for damage, you start with the total attack. Total attack, it's very straightforward. So you want to take the total attack, this is the base, this is the bonus, and those form the total, but in this case it's 2207. So each ability or attack has a skill attribute. If you click on the skill attribute, you can see the percentage of it, it's amplified from your attack. So in this case, for the first part, it's, let's say 2220, 207, sorry, misspoke there. We're going to round it to 2200. Obviously, if you want it accurate, do it to your numbers. I'm just trying to simplify it as much as possible. So here, 2200, and let's say I want to know how much my first swing of my E wants to do. So you click on E, click on skill attribute, first hit is 151. Again, we're going to simplify it to make it 150. And in maths, so you want to express like these percentages as like when you multiply things in maths, you want to express them in decimal places. So when you do this, you wouldn't do 2200 times 151, you would represent it as a 1.51, and then this will give you the number of 3322. But if we do it to 1.5, it should be like 3300, so 1.5. Oh yeah, 3300, what I guess. So that's essentially the first part. Obviously, if your character has different multipliers or your skill has different percentage, obviously you would use that instead. So if it's like 150, you use 1.5. If it's 200, you use 2. If it's 50%, you use 0.5. So you just adjust it with your attack and with your ability, which gives you the first part of the damage formula. So this is the attack that's there. Now for the second part. The second part is a bit more complicated, where it takes two modifiers. No, not two modifiers. It's two modifiers. Okay, so it's two parts for one modifier. So at first you just have attack, and that's just one modifier. But here there's crit damage and crit rate. Crit damage is the damage you do once you crit, and crit rate is how often you crit. So for this stat, if you just follow the damage formula just says to just add crit damage with it. So regardless of whatever, you would just normally do like this number times 1.4. However, I have found that when you do the formula like that, it always assumes your ability is going to crit, and that is never the case. You can't assume the ability is always going to crit, and you can't assume the ability will never crit. So to reach a healthy middle ground, you should find the average of the crit rate and crit damage. And the way you do that is, let's go back to my, again, we're going to go use my Diluc example. We're going to do 0.72, right? And then you times that by 1.417, which gives you this, 1.02. Again, we're going to simplify it and make it a 1. So obviously you wouldn't do 3,300 times 1, because that would just be 3,300. So for the crit rate, crit damage modifier, what you want to do, whatever your the average modifier is, you want to add 1 to it. So for example, in my case, it's 1. So I do 3,300 plus, sorry, not plus. It's plus, you want to put in a bracket like this. So, oh my god, hold on. I'm messing up the scientific calculator. So it's going to be times, and then you do this, and then 1 plus whatever your modifier is. In my case, it's a 1, which will give me a consistent, yeah, and then this should give me a 6,600. So obviously it depends on what you want to do. If you have 100% crit rate, you can obviously, you know, always use the crit damage, but most people, we don't have godly artifacts to get 100 crit, 200 crit damage. Another thing to mention when it comes to crit rate, crit damage is the general rule of thumb is that, like, crit damage should always be double crit rate. So if you have 50% crit rate, you should have 100% crit damage. If you have 70% crit rate, you should have 140 crit damage. However, you can't always, like, follow this rule to the letter, so try to be as close as possible with this number, because that's the way, the most efficient way to get crit rate, crit damage. And for those of you asking for proof why this is, for those of the people who are really into maths, the formula that proves these hypotheses is in the description below, which you can have a look and, you know, look for yourself, see if I did it, see if it's done correctly, and of course if it isn't done correctly, leave it in the comments below. We'll have a look and we'll correct it, because again, I'm very confident with my math skills, but I'm still human and I'm still going to make mistakes in terms of maths. And if I do make mistakes, I'm more than happy to admit that mistake, because this isn't about me being right. This is about me learning with you guys to help me and help you just improve together. So the proof, you know, because when someone asks why something is the case, you need to have evidence or you need to have proof. So the proof for this is that, like, you know, the formula, and that will be in the description below. But the short answer of it is basically the way miHoYo does crit rate is that crit rate, the maximum crit, the max roll on a crit rate you can get is 3.9, and max roll on crit damage is 7.8. So the simplest reason being that the game is designed in a way that the ratio between crit rate and crit damage is 1 to 2, and because of that, you should get crit rate and crit damage close to 1 to 2 ratio as possible, and this will make your damage very efficient. And that's the basic reasoning behind it. And of course, if you want to see the maths behind it, check the link in the description below. Have fun, and of course, if you see any errors, please put it down in the comments below, and I will definitely review it. Moving on to a different, the third modifier, the third and final. This one is also very straightforward. This is known as the bonus damage. So the bonus damage is basically whatever you're trying to bonus damage for that ability. For example, for my Diluc, the bonus damage would be pyro damage on his E. But if I wanted to attack without using ult, the bonus damage would be physical damage bonus. So you want to use the relevant damage bonuses for the damage type you're going for. So and the reason this is important is, like, you want to get this right. You want to this because if you lose out on the bonus damage, you're losing a modifier. So the bonus damage, it normally comes from the cup. The cup is the only artifact in the game that gives bonus damage stats. So this could be pyro, physical, electro, cryo, literally anything. So the cup, it must, and I mean must, always be pyro damage. Not pyro damage, bonus damage, damage bonus. The only exception to this rule is that if you're doing Abyss and there is an Abyss floor that says 75% extra bonus damage for your element, or for your attribute, then you would use attack, because then attack will give you more damage over the bonus damage. But generally speaking, in all scenarios where there isn't a ley line disorder, you would just want to use the bonus damage cup. And obviously the 2-piece set that gives you the bonus damage if you can. So yeah, this is just a video on how to the damage formula. I'll also do videos on how to build artifacts and how to maximize stats on characters as well in later videos. But for now, I don't want to go off track and show my other build characters. Anyways, so bonus damage it's also 61.6. So again, you would express this as the same thing. You want to do so then you want to do times this times 1 plus 0.616, and then that will give you your total damage. So now I know my Diluc E would be 10,665 every swing. So this is like the bare bones of it. Of course, this doesn't take into consideration elemental reactions, enemy resistances. So the full formula for the damage formula is base attack times crit damage, right? Because it's a crit rate modifier, and then times bonus damage, then times enemies level related, and then their resistances, 1 minus resistance. We don't want to go into the full formula. This is just the damage part. I will cover the full formula later because I don't want to overwhelm you with too much maths. But this is the first part of it. And of course, I'll make a part 2 with resistances if you guys want. Again, let me know what you guys want in the comment section below. But I don't want to overwhelm you too much. So now that we've covered all of the 3 stats, what I want to bring your attention to is how you should allocate them. I've been in Dawn Winery Advisor for about 3-4 months now, and I've seen a lot of people who just assume that if they have like 3,000 attack, they're gonna do a lot of damage. In a sense, it will be a lot of damage, but however, they're losing out so much of their potential, because you should never put your eggs all in one basket, because that's just very inefficient. Let me show you what I mean. I've got a calculator here right now. So we're going to use the 3,300 base attack number with my Diluc example. So actually no, let's make it even simpler than that. Let's make the number 100. All right, 100. So let's say you have 90% of stats. So these 90%, you can go into crit rate, crit damage, pirate, whatever. You have to allocate it as much as possible. The best way to allocate it is allocating it equally, and I will explain why. So for example, the people that put all of theirs in attack. So let's say you put all of your stats into attack. So then your formula would be 100 damage for whatever the ability is, times 1.9 times 1 times 1, right? Which would be 190. But now let's say we allocate that in 3 different ways. Let's say we put 30% into attack, 30% into crit rate, crit damage, right? And then the 30% into the modifier and 30% into pyro damage, right? So we assume this is crit damage. We're not going to do it the long way around this time. This is just to prove a point. So we do 100, right? Now we do the same formula again, but we do 100 this time, times 1.3, times 1.3 times 1.3 times 1.3. Do you see, just by allocating the stats, you can see a big difference in damage. Now you're doing 20, almost 30 extra damage just by allocating it equally. So when you have stats, try to allocate them as close to each other as possible. The reason for this is it's purely based on a concept, an economic concept called the law of diminishing returns. So what this means is that it's a maths concept that says that the more you put into something, the more resources you put into something, the less you get out of it. So a classic example would be a tea kettle, right? Let's say you like tea, you're a tea enthusiast. You buy a boiler, you buy those little kettle things that, like, you boil water, you make some tea. Again, I'm British, I care about tea, hence why the example. So with one tea kettle, you can make like, let's say, a tea every 10 minutes, right? But then let's say you want more tea, and then the resources you have is like hot water and tea bags. You can have a lot of tea kettles, right? And then like the first kettle would give you enough tea. The second kettle, you're gonna have a lot more. But the thing is, the more tea kettles you have, the less value you're getting from them. And that's essentially how the law of diminishing returns works. The more of something you have, the less of it you get back from. So that's why when it comes to stats like this, you want to allocate them as equally as possible. And if you can't do that, that's fine. Do it to the best of your abilities, and I promise you, you will see your damage increase. And that's all I needed to cover with this video. Hopefully you've understood everything I went through, and if you don't, please feel free to go back into the video and see if there's if something confused you. Go through it with me, because I feel like I've done the best I can to explain. If there's anything better I can do to explain it, please feel free to comment, and I'll gladly go through it with you. And of course, if you want to get my personal help, please come down to Dawn Winery. Again, link in the description below. I will help anyone I can in my spare time, because again, I enjoy this game. I hope you guys enjoy this game, and I'm very passionate about it, and I want to help people that go through with it. And the big motivation I have to make these videos, or make this video, is that when I started out the game, I was very new, I was very naive, and I watched these clickbaiting YouTubers that says every character is OP, and then of course I built them, and then I felt really disappointed because I've been essentially lied to, and I felt like they didn't care. So I want to be a different content creator that explains as best as I can the maths behind it, and how damage works, and how other elements of the game works, so people don't make the mistakes that I made, and I help people. And of course, if I'm wrong about anything, I would definitely admit it right away, because I don't want to hide my mistakes. I want to own it and become a better person for it. Sorry about this preachy bit. It's just this means a lot to me, and hopefully if this helps anyone, I'm so happy that I made this video. Other than that, thank you for watching this video, and have a nice day. See you on the next one. Peace.